Now, learning more about ourselves helps us to understand the reasons why we fail at certain things that we do. Now, whether you're starting your TCG for the first time, or you're on set 2 or maybe 3, we're here to ask the question today: how do you get over the finish line and complete your TCG? The grind. Now, a TCG is not an overnight project. It's going to take months, maybe even years, to actually complete your first set. Now, if you are wanting to start a TCG for the first time, you have to ask yourself the question: are you capable of grinding to complete the first set of your TCG? There are so many homemade TCGs out there that have just been left incomplete, abandoned by their owners. And I'm not trying to spin this as a negative thing, because the fact that they went out and actually tried is a fantastic thing. And sometimes, just sometimes, they've been abandoned. Those projects have been abandoned to pursue larger, bigger, heftier goals. And that should be praised. So the first step is a bit obvious, but I just want to establish the grind. You do have what it takes to grind out a TCG. But what about set 2? The set 2 curse. How many homemade TCGs actually release a set 2? It is a rare sight, and also a test that our own Shard TCG is working on currently. We are grinding through that set 2, trying to complete that next big set, and we're making it a little bit bigger than the first set, just to give ourselves more of an uphill battle. But I do know that we will get there in the end, and I know that because I've passed the first test. We did complete set 1. But James, you just said it's the curse of set 2. So how does completing set 1 qualify you to complete set 2? Very good question. I mean, a lot of you out there are making 100 plus sets, right? Why can't you just make 100 plus set of cards again? It's that simple, right? It's because of this next step that I'm going to go through: repeat and repair. Now, when you created your first set of your homemade TCG, you tried to fill in all the goals, all the objectives of your TCG to try and make sure that everything was covered. The whole rock, paper, scissors, that beats that and that beats that and that beats that. All the mathematics, all the mumble jumbo. You finished your first set. You're so proud. You did 100 plus cards and it is out there for the world to see. Then you ask the question, what do I do for set 2? Do you look at your game and go, well, I've got everything balanced perfectly. So what if I add some of these? Or what if I add some of these? Oh God. And it becomes a scary project. Set 2 becomes daunting. The way I see it, you're either doomed to do one of two things. One, you repeat the first set, and a lot of the things that you create in the second set or just some form of copy. You add a few sprinkles of new things in, but it's not enough to entice you to keep going into that set, to keep pursuing your game and expanding on this world that you've created within your game. The other option, which I think has played to Shard TCG's advantage, is that we created an unbalanced game, which means our second set is not repeat, it's repair. Our second set is there to repair the gaps that have been left by set 1. Because we are working with 21 elements, which is a ridiculous amount of elements, a lot of those elements got neglected. There are many, many gaps that could be filled. So when set 2 came along, we said, let's get this, and we knew what to throw in, because right now our game is heavily unbalanced. So set 2, our project, is repair, which stops it from becoming too repetitive. We know we've got new things to introduce, and that's exciting for us. And excitement is a motivator, so our previous mistake is our salvation for set 2. So I want you to take a look at your own set. Are you doing repeat or repair? Now, it doesn't all have to be one or the other. You don't have to look at things as black and white. And then when you're going on to the next set, it'll probably sway one way or the other, and the cycle continues. Now, the next reason you might leave your TCG to be left unfinished is diminishing returns. Now, say I wanted to make a set of 100 cards for my very first set of my homemade TCG. That means every single card I do gets me 1% closer to my goal. And when I finish my first set, I am 100% complete. Just like before, pat on the back, well done me. I've got these happy dopamines going around. I've achieved something. I am very, very happy right now. And then that weight hits. Set 2 is right around the corner. I've got to start expanding on this set. Every card that I make is worth 0.5%. Why? Because I'm going to make another 100 cards, but I've already got 100 cards. So I'm not starting from scratch. It means I have a diminishing return. Every card that I make is worth half as much to me. And that's worse again because it doesn't half again with you doing a third set. It becomes a third of it because now you have 200 cards from set 1 and 2 and you're making another 100 cards for set 3. It's worth 0.33% of your game that you're contributing. So the more sets you create, the less you are affecting the newer part of your game. And if that lost you a little bit, let me ask you this. What would you rather make? Would you rather make an entire game? Or would you rather make half of a game that's already made? I hope that way of phrasing it helps you understand where I'm coming from. Which brings me on to my next point, the new project. You have a new idea for a TCG, a younger, fresher, more alluring idea for a TCG. That blank slate that's full of potential, full of possibilities. This TCG that you're going to make, this brand new TCG, could be anything you want it to be. And that is so tempting to do. You've got this TCG that you've already established. Yes, you love that TCG. You never want to leave that TCG. But you could just start this new one. You've learned so much from that one. You go, well, I could take these little bits and I can add these new ideas that won't fit with that one. And I could create something new, fresh, amazing, and everybody will love it. Is it a trap? Or is it the right way to go? The truth is, there isn't one answer for this. Sometimes it's best to start again, start fresh, and learn from your previous mistakes. But you've already committed so much time to this old TCG. This TCG is established. It is working. You know it is. Yes, it's got some faults, but you have to remember, this new TCG will probably develop faults of its own as well. So that whole allure isn't necessarily true, is it? There are pitfalls to come. There are the same growing pains that you had. You may be able to navigate those waters a little bit better, but they are the same rocky waters that you had to navigate in the first place. The only time I would recommend to starting a new TCG would be probably if it's completely different, if it's a completely new style of play. Everything is fresh. So yes, start again, move on, and develop this completely new idea. But is that the advice to give? I don't know, because every TCG is different. Every mind that creates a TCG is different. Only you truly know what is right in your heart, whether you would commit to this new one, or are you doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past? So I hope I brought up some valuable points during this video, and I'm about to offer what I think is a solution. But before I do, can I just ask people to hit the subscribe button if this has been helpful for them. And at the end of this video, if you're really struggling to motivate yourself, there will be a link to one of my videos where I'll be delivering 6 motivational tips to help you get through those tough times. My solution. Once Shard TCG has finished set 2, we are going to be attempting something a little bit different. Something that breaks away from the typical TCG format of releasing large sets. Shard TCG is going to try and focus itself into either smaller sets or structure decks. And this is so we can create smaller projects for us. Something where the dopamine delivery for us as creators becomes more frequent for us. Because when we're creating such large sets that are taking a year or 2 to actually complete, the dopamine dries up, and the dopamine is what motivates us to do anything in life. I get congratulated by somebody because I'm doing a great job, I get a hit of dopamine. Dopamine is what motivates us to do anything in life. And when we're creating projects that are so large to actually get to the finish line, we are depriving ourselves of that big hit of dopamine. So what I'll be attempting after set 2 is establishing smaller structure decks, more theme based and fun mini projects, because we have to keep it interesting for ourselves. And it may not be a genius solution, it may not be mind-blowing ideas, but it is something I think a lot of people just brush aside. You have to figure out how to deliver dopamine to yourself. And if it's breaking the projects into smaller projects and getting that hit when you complete something, then that is what you're going to have to do. You guys are the best. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.